chicken dinner either. This is a team that I think that has a lot of potential. Specifically, Corsac has drawn my eye time and time again. That guy is just a beast whenever it comes to these firefights.
Yeah, I think eUnited are kind of becoming the new SSG. This is all assuming that SSG's play that we saw from the last. One thing I'm realizing about this is that one of the upsides of the island being 100% guaranteed is that no one's going to need to make that coin flip call over whether it's going to swing back to Erangel or not. But there is so little land here.
Oh, gotta be careful. Grenade lands. Nice toss coming out from the Young Kings. Now going into position. Quick flush coming up from that one. And a little bit of separation coming out from SG. Fisher playing the low ground. Now going to be caught out. And so with this, SG has to figure out how they're going to handle what's going on. eUnited, though, actually getting a couple of long-range shots into what's going on around him. Dignitas having to make a touch of a stop. You can see Sharpshot's off in the distance over there. Corsac knows exactly where Sharpshot is and just waiting to see if he can reveal himself. And those feet just keep barely popping over. Reinforcements now coming in for SSG, but this looks like this is just going to be some harassment coming in. Dignitas already got their res on one side of it, and it does look like SSG is going to get it on the other side.
Yeah, this is what I mean. We're already seeing a lot of very deadly fights here. Yeah, sure, no one died between SSG and Dignitas and eUnited just yet. I say that right when I say that. Sharpshot does get confirmed, but then we also saw 2 players down for Synergy. This is what I mean. Look how little land there is available for teams to all fight over, and we are still missing 4 teams. We still have TSM, we still have Troglodytes, we still have Adapt, and we still have STS to make their way over. But here, I feel like for the Gascans or anyone that loots up here, it's going to be a lot of guessing, more guessing than usual. But Circle 2 comes in. Still a third of it is eaten up by water. Everyone's going to have to go over towards the east side. I'm looking at eUnited and Oath because they're not going to have to move, and they are potentially in positions to kneecap teams that are forced to rotate all the way to the other side through teams like Dignitas, or this means that this entire hill is free. But they're sending it into military itself. This is an interesting decision. There's already a bunch of teams here, so CGD already gets dropped by Mime. Fortunately, there is someone here to get the revive. The angle is blocked off inside the actual bunker itself. And that one's gonna be confirmed.
You just can't drive by Soniqs. These guys are so cruel. Lined up another one and narrowly manages to make it into that bunker. So with that, do get the res, do have 3 members up, do get into a position that is fairly centered as well. So there was a cost to it, but I mean, trying to leave this position from this point forward is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's the big thing, to commit to the bunkers so early on. This is only phase 2. I don't know how much I personally agree with that decision. Dignitas, they're actually trying to leave the bunkers. They're trying to have a little bit of room to play around with. However, Fiuma do get to this position earlier. They stop that from happening. Dignitas now have to pull back and continue to play as 4 in the singular position. We've seen phase 2 circle splits be so impactful. Fiumba have that. eUnited have a little one of their own. And then STS, they also have one, but let's be honest, they didn't have to fight for that.
Hey, but look,
no longer a powerful point in the circle.
This is going to be a real weird rotation for these teams that are coming around military base proper. You can see SG trying to make their roll right by Mime. Doesn't pay off too well. Losing one of their members quickly flushed out as well. Soniqs are going to have to make a move, and it looks like they've got eyes on bunker. Remember, they were taking shots at Black Tigers just a second ago. Black Tigers trying to get a little bit of vengeance back, gets a little bit of damage, but Soniqs manages to squeak by with that one.
Yeah, really good rotation, really good play here by Soniqs. They're removing some players, they're dropping SG down to even fewer. I think they only have a solo left, and then they also make a play to get inside the circle. They're going to be playing from edge at this point on. It's too dangerous for them to try and keep moving. Because you can see what Fiumba are doing to teams that are trying to pass through center. Adapter's still just barely inside on the edge, and Fiumba have all these angles and sight lines onto them. This position to hide their vehicles, to hide their tires, is barely in the circle.
Hey, but it's better than a lot of the other teams and what they've got going right now.
Sure.
We still have 300 Troglodytes, Young Kings, Gascans, and Wildcard all still needing to come in from the west. Meanwhile, TSM is pretty close to the safe zone, so we'll see how that one plays. You can see Troglodytes make the move down to the south, and it's going to be 300 that has vision on them. Trying to get a little bit of harassment into it. Taps just enough to make it painful. So Troglodytes is now going to have to run through a little bit more of an open area. So first part of the gauntlet is now passed. Let's see if anybody else is wanting to pick it up as it moves forward. 300, though, might have another target coming in back behind them as Young Kings is now going to run right next to a part of their setup. Going to see it up close and personal. Goes for the spray back over towards Swagger, but no, Neverhor not going to be able to get him. So Young Kings, while they are a little bit damaged, trying to at least find somewhere to hide for now.
Yeah, this is 300 are really struggling from this position. You can see the open area they're going to have to cross through, and it would be easier, not easy, but easier if they could take out a couple of players from this angle, but the shots just aren't landing. Young Kings are still alive. Who knows how long they're going to survive, but then we have Soniqs beaming down onto the little bit of water terrain that 300 have to play with, and the blue is quickly closing on all these teams from the west, and that includes Gascans, I think a little bit of SSG and Wildcard.
I mean, this is where the party is right now. Young Kings trying to make sure that they hold up. Gascans trying to fight their way into zone. Troglodytes on the other side of Young Kings, and you can see it is rough right now. Flux just trying to make sure that he survives through it. 300 also going to be coming in. Swagger is still on his way towards position, and it is just team upon team that's starting to stack along this point. Another member for Young Kings goes down, and it's starting to open up the passageway. There we go. Young Kings, the first team to be eliminated with this, but keep in mind, Gascans still have to keep an eye. 300 is very close.
Yeah, we're not done here. One team got removed, and there's still 5 all fighting for essentially the same position. Where's the next circle going to go? A pretty expected shift on the Phase 4 shift away from water, and these teams on the west, I'm certain that they were prepared for it, and they were prepared to continue to fight. So keep watching for action from that. But still, also from the northwest side, there's maybe 3 or 4 teams that are in this circle because of the dead zone on the entire southern half. But grenades are flying in from Space Station onto Wildcard's position. They are trying to disembark themselves from the very pier. But the counter grenades, Keenan gets dropped.
Trying to go for the res. Oldless was just narrowly there, but the grenade connects off on it. So now going to have to make a little bit of a retreat. 2 members up for SSG off this positional, but Roth does have a nice angle to play with at the time. Keep in mind, not inside the safe zone. These guys are trying to play along the southern coast. That way they can kind of meander their way into a safer position. They hear what's going on to the north. That was what was going on with Young Kings, Troglodytes, Gascans. So they know this is where they've got to fight. Meanwhile, Soniqs are trying to fight their way into position, and they've got Black Tigers that's just off on point. Black Tigers goes down, but there's been a little bit of cost on what's going on with Soniqs.
Yeah, Gascans are trying to third-party this fight here on the low ground. Fortunately, Troglodytes are also getting involved. 3rd, 5, 6, 7, 8 parties here happening. Everyone's shooting everyone else again because we're seeing a bunch of teams all come in from the same angle, from the same side. TGLTN runs out of ammo, has to drop back behind his vehicle as Hikerman, well, looks back onto his position. And both these teams, Soniqs and Gascans, don't have a lot of time to play with. They have a minute and a half before they need to be, I want to say in the circle, but honestly, where they need to be past Troglodytes into 300's territory.
All right, here comes the gamble rotation coming into play right now. Just trying to rotate through. Gascan's going to be rolling through, but Roth has himself a beautiful angle to work with. Jumps down. The blue zone's going to do that extra little tick. What's Oldest got to work with. Troglodytes, though, now having to contend up with what Gascans was trying to bring. And you can see as the vehicle rolls in, they managed to at least get close enough with their vehicle, but they did manage to get wiped out. Troglodytes have to play this a little bit more carefully, but finally getting control as the only team that's going to be close to them is now 300 on the opposite side of the hill.
Looking back on the Soniqs. A couple pieces of utility to try and lock Dignitas in. They need to overtake this position. You see hwinn off on the side on the minimap, looking for anyone to third party from the north, but TGLTN, he's raw peeking. He's using the smoke as a distraction, trying to see if he can't find some information, but instead it's going to re-block off that line of sight and waiting for the Dignitas retreat because they're likely gonna have to move in just a few moments.
But I love this coming up from Soniqs. Trying to make a little bit of a gamble play, but gets spotted out. Tig's now dropped, and Dignitas realizes they have an opportunity. Soniqs was trying to make sure that nothing went through, but oh! Molotov being dropped down. hwinn with a beautiful angle onto them. Dignitas now in trouble. Mime is now moved into a position, trying to go for the res. Shinboy moving forward. You can see that Soniqs hears the footsteps, moves away from it. Just a little bit high-rise toss coming into play. Mime still just trying to cover up. They do not want to lose TGLTN at this point. So with this, it's going to be hwinn up on the top of this, to making sure to secure and keep his team covered. I thought that Dignitas was going to take that for just a second, but boy, it turned on its side fast.
I don't know what got them to spot TGLTN out in the smoke. Maybe it was just a lucky spray. But yeah, they looked like for a quick second they had the upper hand, but oh, good grenades coming across. We saw a few try and fly up and take hwinn out. That one's gonna find it, and now Shinboy's pushing, but he's not checking all the corners. Mime holding a rock on the flank, but he's gonna get traded out. It's all into TGLTN versus Honey Badger. 1 versus 1! Honey Badger takes it! Soniqs spikes are removed. Dignitas, do they have time to stabilize? Because they're again going to need to push into the circle.
They had to reset just a second ago, and you can see that it's a quick tick down. Trying to get Shinboy up first, but no! Long-range shots coming out from Vox. Going to spot it out. Now just trying to go for it. Oh, Honey Badger on no life. Trying to juke through this one, and it is going to be close at this point. They really want to commit in and try to at least bring 2 members into this circle. The problem is they still have to get this up, get their meds, get around the side of the bunker to get back in their vehicles, and then still try to roll out. You can see that other positions might make a play onto this, with TSM now harassing off on position. eUnited left that high ground point, and we're playing down in that lower area around Antenna Tower. So there's a lot of vision to be had on what's going on in these positions.
Yeah, we were looking at the West for so much. How did TSM end with such a strong position? They're going to have to leave the high ground, but they could still do a good job of dealing heavy damage to all these teams below them. We're looking at eUnited, looking at Fiumba, and looking at, of course, Oath. And that's going to be the big fight between these two teams, all trying to leave to the southern side where the circle shifted towards.
Everything now starting to lean into different positionals. The north of this circle is going to be where everything is starting to go down at. TSM running that 2-2 split. Oath holding a strong position themselves. Adapt coming up right back behind Fiumba. Finds an open angle to work with, and there you go. Retaliative managed to line it up. Silzen goes down, but as that firefight breaks out, that's going to reveal what's going on, and other teams are starting to counter move around the position. It's going to be eUnited that gets a little bit of vision off to the side of it. Wheelam goes down. Retaliative has also taken a lot of damage with this. Fiumba trying to make sure that they get into a position to maybe gatekeep what's going on. Keep in mind, while all this was going on, Honey Badger mad dashed through all of this, so at least managed to make it inside the safe zone, but Shinboy has yet to do so. Fiumba does spot him out, though, so now back down to 1. It's going to be Dignitas, make that none, get spotted out, but it's going to be Adapt that now have to move into a very fortified position that Fiumba's holding down.
Yeah, Fiumba, they're forcing Adapt to try and play whack-a-mole. They're peeking up, get a couple of shots, and then running to a completely different part of their territory. It's like guerrilla tactics in here, and that's what's making it so difficult for Adapt to actually approach. All 4 are trapped into the blue. Fiumba still have all 4 up for themselves. 5 kills, a completely different turnaround from what we saw from week 1.
I mean, the blue zone is doing so much damage. There we go. Adapt tried so hard to survive through this one. So, whenever we're looking at this, do note the position, again, from TSM, Oath. These guys are very close to each other, and with that circle shift, that's going to be a big power point that we're going to see have a lot of contention coming through. eUnited, looking in the direction of Fiumba now, realizes the fact that they've got to take this fight fast. Silzen moves up into a high position, but reveals himself a touch too much. 2 members for Fiumba already down, but 1 on the side of eUnited.
And TSM can be third-partying this entire engagement. There was really no ground for either of these teams to stand on. Just Waldo left, trying to go for the revive, trying to have some teammates, some backup in this situation, but that is also giving time for Fiumba to do the same, to regain themselves as 3. But is there going to be a push from behind Fiumba? We're looking at Pippa from SG and maybe 300 trying to make their way up, but TSM, they're trying to be as oppressive as possible. They're taking a play from Oath's own playbook.
I mean, you can see TSM tried to go for a little bit of a peek, took a face full lead, steps back away from it. But while this is all resetting, Oath is very aware of what's going on. They don't want to step into position. They want these two teams to just absolutely destroy each other and then them pick off whatever moves in. Fiumba, though, realizes the fact that they've got to make a little bit more of a proactive play. With everything that's going on, they do have SG to the south that's harassing just a touch, but finally, Silzen spots it out, takes him out. Now it's going to be 300 that can harass at range.
They also should have seen Purdy getting knocked at the kill feed, which means that TSM are going to have to take a little bit of time to restabilize themselves, which could have given them an opening, but here comes Extreme from the south is what I'm saying with 300. Somehow that team is able to make it work on that south side. They were looking really bad earlier on, but we're still looking at the resolution of this engagement here. Fiumba and eUnited. Capitan needs to push forward.
No!
He falls out into the blue.
He was supposed to be the point man for this, and he falls in the most inopportune moment. This is terrible for Fiumba.
He's like Boba Fett into Sarlacc pit. How is he getting out of that?
This blue is going to tick for so much damage. He's trying to run around the side of it, but there's not a lot to be had. MA trying to move into a position as well, but eUnited getting a little bit cleaner of a point. Capitan does manage to make it back to the blue zone, but that angle that they wanted to play from is now completely gone with the blue zone movement. Ooh. Here come the peaks on both sides as eUnited has to be careful. They have TSM right up on top of them, but they now know in the low ground it's going to be Fiumba.
Oh, come on, Waldo, let that AWM sing. It does miss, unfortunately.
almost.
And you can tell why eUnited are in such a rough position because they're trying to keep an angle held for Fuyumbo's push, but then TSM are getting curiouser and curiouser to try and finish out that fight that's actually been happening for quite a while, and the whole time, Oath, they're just hanging out. They're having to use smokes, a lot of utility usage before the end game final moments are even hitting. We'll see if that impacts them later on. But Waldos needs to go aggressive, and he's getting shot from the back.
Oh.
The territory with the blue pushing in is making it very thin for eUnited's positioning.
Trying to creep up. You can see Los realizes there's not a lot of opportunity. He's got all of Oath on one angle, all of TSM on another one. Just seeing if maybe he can get some vision of what's going on, but every single time he takes a shot, he reveals himself. It's going to be Balefrost on a side angle, tries to go for something. It does go down. While all of this fun has been going on to the north, do note that 300 and Systematicos have been getting a lot of control of the southern part of the circle, and the circle does shift in their direction. So now TSM, Oath, going to have to make a move of their own, but oh, Purdy found himself a little bit of a toy to play with.
Yeah, TSM, they're going to have to push in, but they have the high ground, they have the numbers, and they have the utility, especially with a couple of gear that we saw them pick off of eUnited. They're going to have to move through Oath. Oath still have all 4 up, but the rotates coming in clockwise. Purdy called it out, said, hey guys, there's an opening here, there's a gap here, and it's only STS. Let's go take them out. Shots come through, the first knock comes on in, and then here are the rest of TSM arriving.
Just rolling down the hillside. Systematico systematically taken down. 300 has a little bit of an angle to play with, manages to take down Alo, get the flush onto him as well. But do note that his stream is down. TSM now moving into a little bit more of a throwable position. And keep in mind, nobody wants to be in throwable range whenever it comes time for TSM to get into that point. Purdy now leaving the safe zone, creeping up around, seeing if maybe he can find the angle into what's going on. But while this fight is happening with 300, Oath is allowing to reset the entirety of this in the north to figure out what's going on, and Fuyumbo is now coming up back behind 300.
Nefrahor's far flank position was crucial for 300's fight against TSM, but now that he's removed, this could give TSM an opportunity to wipe out 300, but while that's happening, we're seeing Oath move on the opposite side. Oh, Emmy is still alive! He's able to take one member of Oath out. How long is that going to last? He's still up! He hasn't been confirmed yet! There he is! A grenade from Snakers!
Oh, problems abound on both sides. TSM now down, so it's Oath on one side, 300 on the other. But the problem is, Oath still has a ton of members up.
Wait, what just happened against TSM? We were looking on the west, like, in a second.
I mean, live by the throwable, die by the throwable is the way it feels.
That's the only option. Now it's a 2 versus 4. And, like, okay. Trying to reset here. Calm down. Slow your breath. I'm talking to myself, guys, not you. Oath still have 4 up. They only have 2 kills, but they've been able to find an opening into a really strong position in the circle. 300, they're on the low ground, and more importantly, if I'm being honest, they only have 2 members alive, so really this is going to be Oath's perfect time for them to just take over this game.
And Oath is aware of where Extreme is in that low position right next to the tree, moving forward vehicles to get a little bit more cover to work with. And oh, hey, by the way, Circle pops in Oath's favor. 300, and man, you're going to have to shoot your way out of this one, and you got to make sure your peaks are absolutely clean. But keep in mind, it is Extreme. It is Leda. These guys have been around in the scene for a while. They have the opportunity. Oath's firing line is very, very strong, but there is the potential for it. No! Balefrost, though, finds Leda. Now it is down to just Extreme, and this is going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, that was always the biggest problem, is that even for 300 to try and spread out and find their own angles to find an opening pick, they're going to have to cross that road where there was no cover. Leda gets taken out, 4 versus 1. Extreme did what he could, but unsurprisingly falls. Oath take their first win of the PCS 5 finals, only with 4 kills, but we'll take it. They'll take it. I don't think anyone's going to be upset at this.
Patience pays off in the end is what